राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी
जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी
गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी
जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी
गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी
जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी
यशोदानंदन भज
यशोदानंदन भज
His Divine Grace of Vichyanarvind Bhaktivedanta Swami Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavanda Ki Jai Srimad Bhagavatam Maha Purana Ki Jai Dayor Pramanande Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2nd, chapter number 2 and text number 30, chapter number 9 and text number 35. This is in relation to Chatushloki Bhagavatam, which is very, very important in understanding how we have to perceive the absolute truth through the philosophy of Prachintya Vedaveda Tattva. The philosophy is so profound that there cannot be left any doubt, and it will be totally satisfied. So, I'll read the translation of the first 2 verses that we already did. I mean, you already did, I didn't. So, that is starting from aham evasam evagre nanyat yat sad asat param paschadaham yat tedacha yo avashishyeta so asmiham. Brahma, it is I, the personality of Godhead, who was existing before the creation, and where there was nothing but myself, nor was there any material nature, the cause of this creation. That which you see now is also I, the personality of Godhead, and after annihilation, what remains will also be I, the personality of Godhead. So, this verse comprises this totality of the absolute truth, and it is not a represent, but it is the manifestation of Lord Shri Krishna himself. Lord Krishna is perfect and complete, right? And everything that emanates from him is also perfect and complete. Even after creating so many perfect and complete units, he still remains perfect and complete. Because he is the sum total, so whatever is going to become manifest, either spiritual or material, it will be all within him. It cannot be outside of him. Why the perfect figure is 1 and it is represented by 0? Both 1 and 0 have been invented in India, you know that. But the 0 means material creation, but 1 is the absolute truth. The idea of the Supreme One is in the Vedas. It is said, Eko Bahushya, one manifested in many. And when it is sustained for some time and then annihilated, it will be also within him. It cannot be outside of him. But to reach to the forgotten soul or the fallen who are coming into the material creation, which is intrinsically within the purview of the spiritual nature. Brahmajyoti, or you may say, it is in the stomach of Lord Krishna. Everything is there. Because Mahavishnu is going to breathe in and breathe out all the universes. So they stay within him for some time. In Brahma Samhita this is explained. Yasya nisvasati kala athavalambya jivanti loma vilaja jagadandanatha Vishnur Mahan. He yasya kala vishesha. Mahavishnu is only kala vishesh. Means is an expansion. And specifically an expansion. But kala vishesh is also coming. Amsha kala, then even later it will be again divided into minor. And in the last, when Mahavishnu expands into Garbhodakshaya Vishnu expands, who expands himself into Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, and Kshirodakshaya Vishnu expands as Paramatma to reach each and every atom, it is he. So he is always remains cognizant of all that is big. Because he is expanded. And as a matter of fact, our realization should also come, because we are part and parcel, even though we have been eternally separated, we've been nauseous, yet they belong to Krishna. Means it is Krishna's expansion. But it doesn't mean that I am expansion of Krishna, therefore I am Krishna. No. Achintya Ved Aveda Tattva would be applied there. It is very, very inconceivable, but simultaneously oneness and same exist in the Supreme Absolute. So Brahma comes to the point of realization. And this realization is afforded by chanting and hearing purely the holy name. The last verse in Bhagavad Dharma, which you have already come, that Vidyate hridaya granthi chindyanti sarvashamshaya kshiyanti chasya karmani drashta eva atmanishvare. Drashta eva, that the self sees him as the Supreme, as the Master. So, face to face, the soul and the super soul embedded within the soul come face to face. He can become smaller than the smallest. So what does anything exist other than the Supreme Personality of God eternally? So such a claim is done only by Krishna and nobody else. So to understand the absolute truth and personality of Godhead, that the esoteric nature of the absolute truth, which is philosophically, been convinced or presented, and it will be simultaneously manifested in the practical understanding too. So it's not a blind belief, but we have to realize from the minutest nature to the absolute supreme nature, both belongs to Krishna. But because we are independently separated by our own little hate and separate desire, we retain that absolute position. Even though qualitatively one, quantitative difference is there. So this first verse is saying that Krishna says, I am existing alone as the supreme individual personality of Godhead, because everything is created within me, and naturally it will be sustained for some time, and this again dissolved. But it means I will remain even after the annihilation. Brahma, neither you or Ishan, Lord Shiva, they will also come and go. I will remain. So, we should not get bewildered that, oh, we are also one, and then we are prone to take birth after birth repeated in 8.4 million species of life. But devotee's birth is last because he comes to the realization of this absolute nature of the Lord, which is part and parcel, but at the same time surrendered soul. So he will never go out of the purview of Krishna's jurisdiction. He cannot. But those who are envious, they are saying, Manorathena asati dhavato bhagi. Those those who are not devotees, why they are so eccentric, not concentric, but eccentric, go away from Krishna. And they are lost in oblivion. They are subjugated to material laws and goes by force to take repeated birth and death. So that's the first verse. Then the second verse is telling, Rate artham yat pratiyeta na pratiyeta chatmani tad vidyadatmano mayam yatha bhasav yatha tama. O Brahma, whatever appears to be of any value, if it is without relation to me, has no reality. Know it as my illusory energy, that reflection which appears to be in darkness. How come reflection appears to be in darkness? The reflection is going to appear in darkness, means there is no reflection. It is simply illusion. If we imagine in darkness the rope as snake, because we had some sensory observation during the day, but when the day is over, darkness is compulsory falling on us, right? And everybody goes into sleep. Even Brahma in his cycle, he has to go into sleep, the darkness. And material world was created in darkness. There was no sun, no moon. And Brahma got perplexed. When he was born on the navel, lotus grew, and on the lotus, Brahma appeared, and he can't see his father, mother, but the first living entity. He has potential because the potency is yet to be invested in him. He did not have, when anybody wakes up from the slumber or from the deep sleep early in the morning, you forget what you did yesterday, the day before, all right? You forget. It is difficult to remember, So can you imagine, Brahma is also facing, and his night was of the same time as the one kalpa. Kalpa is supposed to be 12 hours of Brahma. Then after the kalpa is over, night begins, right? So this is important, that somehow or other, everything which is expanded from Krishna, both the living entities, which are chitkanas, means conscious particles, as well as achitkanas, which are material particles, both were generated through Lord Krishna. And they hang around in Brahma Jyoti. That is why it is called Brahman. The potency is also hanging around in Brahman. Right? And it may be external potency or internal potency, but internal potency is not going to be manifest within that Brahman, which is impersonal in nature. It will be only manifested in Vaikuntha planets or higher to the Guru Vrindavan. So to see the manifestation, one has to come out through the Brahman realization to at least localize Paramatma realization and then Supreme Personality Godhead realization. That is the absolute nature. But in Brahman, potencies are there and unmanifested. If you say, Karma Brahmodbhavam Vidhi, karma is coming through the Brahman. Brahman means the existence of both Chitkana and Achitkana. There will be Chitkana and Achitkana will be intermingling. Actually, it is the Chitkana which is superior in nature because it has that potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, part and parcel. Right? So, it has a dangling with material nature. And there he goes, he falls off. As soon as he starts dangling with the material nature, he is overpowered by the Achitkana and he falls from the grace. This is how impersonalists fall. You know, because Brahman, the Brahma Jyoti, is the source of the Chitkana falling off. That is, let's say. And karma, because the potency to work, it is coming from Brahman. And Brahman is resting on the lotus feet of the Lord, or it is the bodily effulgence of the Lord. So therefore, there is a very clear demarcation for impersonalists who are not devotees. Unless and until they come into the level of devotional service, they will not have any access to go to Vaikuntha or Guru Vrindavan. So, Maya means one which is not relating. It's a shadow energy. Right? So Krishna says that if the Chitkana thinks that this material nature, the material kanas are there, the particles, they are all in all, and they have no relation to me, that means it is unreal. That is unreal. So it says, whatever appears to be of any value, if it is without relation to me, it has no reality. When we utilize material energy in service of Krishna, then it has value, because it is his energy and it should be engaged in service of the Lord. But that is the nature of the devotees, that they are so much favorable that whatever Krishna has created, whether good or bad, everything can be utilized in service. You know. So it is the illusory energy, that reflection which appears to be in darkness. Actually, you can't see, you can't have any reflection in the darkness. But yes, when you see, prior to this creation of sun and moon, which are the light, Brahma, when he was born, there was darkness. He couldn't see himself, couldn't identify himself. He went through whatever the latent potency he had as a living entity, went up to the navel region where the lotus was springing, and he became so much baffled that he got fearful and came back on his lotus. You know how long is the stem of the lotus that comes from the navel? It's immense. Brahma's lotus, Brahmaloka, is also very, very humongous in the material creation. And Brahma was blinded. So he got frustrated. When one cannot see himself, one cannot identify himself, he becomes so helpless, even though his latent energy is there, but on his own, without relationship, because when we come out from the sleep, we forgot even what we did yesterday, but we forget Krishna in relationship to Krishna. That is called Maya. And Brahma also forgot. So, despite of his endeavors, when he was unable to identify himself, it was meaningless. Whatever is there, whether chit or achit, conscious or unconscious, both are related to Lord Krishna. Right? Because everything came from Lord Krishna. Why we make them separate? We can't make anything separate. Prabhupada said utility is the principle, means what? Utilize everything, even material. What to speak of only spiritual, and connect it with Krishna by serving. So, this is an important verse, that to see reflection, apparently a reflection in darkness, but reflection of what? When there is no light. Reflection comes only after light comes. So therefore, sun and moon are like the eyes or guiding principle for those who are born in darkness. Earth may have come out from the sun, but at the same time, unless sun has the latent energy, it's not of his own, but his empowerment, it's a representation of Lord Krishna's potency. Even though material, it has come from Lord Krishna. There are bigger suns in the universes, and scientists are baffled, which is the most powerful sun in the entire cosmic manifestation. They are getting pictures from Hubble's, telescope in the sky. And they get more and more baffled, because the mystery of the creation of the Lord is so complicated. Now they are throwing away the Big Bang theory. They are throwing away, up till now they were, so much proud of Big Bang that it banged their head and they got a big bang. They are discarding it. They want to see the process of annihilation. Kali Yuga itself is annihilation, started already. They can't see here, they want to see in the cosmic manifestation. So they say, we saw the black hole and all the stars are going to fall in it and disappear. So it must be the generative principle there. Higgs boson and so much nonsensical theories came up. And they are getting more and more baffled. Can't pinpoint the God particle. Cannot pinpoint a God particle. Higgs boson they call it. By splitting an atom, they get particles. But some particles, in 1956, Prabhupada wrote that book, Easy Journey to Other Planets, and read it. The very first chapter starts with a caption of two scientists, got Nobel Prize about finding out antimatter. And Prabhupada would chime, he's so confident. We agree. But we do not agree only one point. There was, if you read, it says, two American scientists got Nobel Prize in 1956. This was the article came in Times of India and Prabhupada put up there. And it says they theorized, this was only theory, they said there exists an anti-material particle which has completely opposite characteristics than the material particle. Prabhupada said, we agree. Right? Then they say, therefore, there is also existing an anti-material world. Prabhupada said, we agree. But then the third proposition they came, that in given time and space, if these two opposite worlds come together, there will be total annihilation. Prabhupada said, we do not agree. Parastasmatu bhavyo anyo vyakta vyakta sanatan. Then Prabhupada gives the commentary. This is Atma, the anti-material particle. And material particle is the matter. Right? Both are opposite in characteristics. So, naturally when we see, rite means without doubt, it is absolute truth, is ritam. Satyameva jayate nanritam. If it is not factual, it cannot be absolute truth. This is the fundamental understanding in the Vedic times, that it will be always victorious. Satyam means that absolute truth is always victorious because it is factual, it is not speculative. Ritam means factual. Virtual means speculative. Opposite of the ritam. Anritam, nanritam. The one which is not factual cannot win. So scientists want to understand everything without the relationship of Krishna, the absolute. But they understand now what the theists believe as God, then let's challenge the God. If you Google CERN, CERN, this is an institute where this experiment is going on. They are responsible of it. They have more than 2,500 topmost scientists engaged in this experiment still today. And they are located in Geneva, Switzerland, because they created a huge underground tunnel to split the atom at 25-mile radius between France and Switzerland border, and Geneva is the headquarters. And you Google it, it will come right away. CERN, CERN. So they have a big reception room, and they have put 20-foot big statue of Lord Shiva, Nataraj dancing. It's called God of Death. And they are so frustrated. They want to find the God particle, and here he is standing in the form of God of Death. No other belief system is prevailing there, but this Vedic system, and Lord Shiva is being represented because there are some Indian scientists, they are dead against God. So one time, I saw that about more than 8 months now already. Some frustrated scientists within that staff, they enact an occult drama in front of our Lord Shiva, there in some. And they, in the drama, is related to human sacrifice. Human sacrifice. See, where their head is spinning, that you can't find God particle. particle they want to see. So they enact in front of Lord Shiva. It's a maybe 2 or 3 minutes drama coming in occult way. If you have seen the movies, sometimes they present the occult processes, gurus and everybody is in black attire, can't see the face, nothing. And when they were performing, somebody was videoing on their smartphone, and then that video came up and it leaked out. They put it in the YouTube. I happened to see, and there was a big uproar because it's an insult to Lord Shiva, a human sacrifice. It was a drama, but nonetheless, there was an uproar. And immediately the politics started, and the officials of Sun say, oh no, some upstarts, we do not know what it is, but we are investigating. It means give us time, give us break, Prabhu. So anyway, then they came and then they were just playing around. But why? They are frustrated. That drama is still there on the YouTube. If you dial, type CERN, Sun, everything will pop out. Once it goes in YouTube, it will be difficult to come out, right? So you can imagine that there are no dialogues, nothing, But they will say, and there's a despair when humans are because they are bewildered. So the idea is that they don't understand in relationship to Krishna. Even Janma, Karma, even Mrityu, Jara, everything is related with Krishna. So we have to link up. Why is happening? Why not? So, what is Maya? If we think anything, even in our household life, that is not connecting to Krishna, that is called Maya. It's a very practical, application for imbibing the absolute truth and understand. Yesterday, the exercises are there to realize how much are we investing Lord Krishna in our daily life. That's the idea. So, this is the second verse. Today, number 3rd. You have written? So, yeah, it's there. Okay. Yatha mahanti bhutani.
Yatha mahanti bhutani.
Bhuteshu chascha eshvano.
Bhuteshu chascha
Pravistanya pravistani.
Pravistanya pravistani.
Tathateshu nateshvaham.
Tathateshu nateshvaham.
Yatha mahanti bhutani.
Yatha mahanti bhutani.
Bhuteshu chasvasheshvanu.
Bhuteshu chasvasheshvanu.
Pravistanya pravistani.
Pravistanya pravistani.
Tathateshu nateshvaham.
Tathateshu nateshvaham.
Yatha mahanti bhutani.
Yatha mahanti bhutani.
Bhuteshu chasvacheshvanu.
Bhuteshu chasvasheshvanu.
Pravistanya pravistani.
Pravistanya pravistani.
Tathateshu nateshvaham.
Tathateshu nateshvaham.
यथा महान्ति भूतानि
यथा महान्ति भूतानि
भूतेषु वाचेषु
भूतेषु चावचेषु
प्रविष्टानि अप्रविष्टानि
तथा तेषु न तेष्वहम्
यथा महान्ति भूतानि
यथा महान्ति भूतानि
भूतेषु चावचेष्वनु
भूतेषु चावचेष्वनु
प्रविष्टानि अप्रविष्टानि
प्रविष्टान्यप्रविष्टानि
तथा तेषु न तेष्वहम्
तथा तेषु न तेष्वहम्
यथा महान्ति भूतानि
यथा महान्ति भूतानि
भूतेषु चावचेष्वनु
भूतेषु चावचेष्वनु
प्रविष्टान्यप्रविष्टानि
प्रविष्टान्यप्रविष्टानि
तथा तेषु न तेष्वहम्
तथा तेषु न तेष्वहम्
Brothers,
यथा महान्ति भूतानि
यथा महान्ति भूतानि
भूतेषु चावचेष्वनु
भूतेषु चावचेष्वनु
प्रविष्टान्यप्रविष्टानि
प्रविष्टान्यप्रविष्टानि
तथा तेषु न तेष्वहम्
तथा तेषु न तेष्वहम्
Yatha,
यथा
just as
just as
Mahanti,
Mahanti,
the universal,
the universal,
Bhutani,
Bhutani,
elements, Bhuteshu,
Bhuteshu,
Uccha,
Uccha,
Avacheshu,
Avacheshu,
in the minute and gigantic,
in the minute and gigantic,
Anu,
Anu,
after, Pravishtani,
Pravishtani,
entered,
entered,
Apravishtani,
Apravishtani,
not entered,
not entered,
Yatha,
Yatha,
Tatha,
Tatha,
so,
so,
Teshu,
Teshu,
in them,
in them,
no,
no,
not,
not,
Teshu,
Teshu,
in them,
in them,
Aham,
Aham,
myself.
myself.
This is very important. The last two of the four are extensive. So we will split into two. We will continue tomorrow also. And we may take 3 days for the next verse. Okay? Yes. Prabhupada is not going to leave any stone unturned, so we may not be totally aware. Oh Brahma, please know that universal elements enter into the cosmos and at the same time do not enter into the cosmos. Similarly, I myself also exist within everything created and at the same time I am outside of everything. Isn't it mind-boggling? But it is fact. Let's read the purport. The great elements of material creation, namely earth, water, fire, air and ether, all enter into the body of all manifested entities. The seas, mountains, aquatics, plants, reptiles, birds, beasts, human beings and demigods, and everyone materially manifested. And at the same time, such elements are differently situated. In the developed stage of consciousness, the human being can study both physiological and physical science. But the basic principle of such sciences are nothing but material elements and nothing more. The body of the human being and the body of the mountain, as also the bodies of the demigods, including Brahma, are all of the same ingredients, earth, water, fire, etc. And at the same time, the elements are beyond the body. The elements were created first and therefore they entered into the bodily construction later. But in both circumstances, they entered the cosmos and also did not enter. Similarly, the Supreme Lord, by his different energies, namely the internal and external, is within everything, and the manifested cosmos, and at the same time he is outside of everything, situated in the kingdom of God, Vaikuntha Loka, as described before. This is very nicely stated in Brahma Samhita, 5th chapter, 37th verse, I suppose. Ananda chinmaya rasa pratibhavita bhista bhirya eva nijarupataya kalabhi goloka eva nivasatya khilatma bhuto govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. I worship the personality of Godhead, Govinda, who by expansion of his internal potency of the transcendental existence, knowledge and bliss, enjoys in his own expanded forms. Simultaneously he enters into every atom of the creation. This expansion of his plenary parts is also more definitely explained in the same Brahma Samhita, and 5th chapter, 35th verse, as follows. Ekopya saura chaitam jagadanda kotim yachaktirasti jagadanda yadantaha andantarastha paramanu chayantarastham govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. I worship the personality of Godhead Govinda, who by one of his plenary portion entered into the existence of every universe and every particle of the atoms, and thus unlimitedly manifest his infinite energy all over the material creation. The impersonalists can imagine or even perceive that the Supreme Brahman is thus all-pervading, and therefore they conclude that there is no possibility of his personal form. Here lies the mystery of his transcendental knowledge. This mystery is transcendental love of Godhead, and one who is surcharged with such transcendental love of Godhead can without difficulty see the personality of Godhead in every atom and every movable or immovable objects. And at the same time, he can see the personality of Godhead in his own abode, Goloka, enjoying eternal pastimes with his eternal associates, who are also expansions of his transcendental existence. This vision is the real mystery of the spiritual knowledge, as stated by the Lord in the beginning, Sarhasyam tadangam cha. This mystery is the most confidential part of the knowledge of the Supreme, and it is impossible for the mental speculators to discover by dint of intellectual gymnastics. The mystery can be revealed through the process recommended by Brahmaji in Brahma Samhita, 5th chapter, 38 verse, as follows. Premanjana churita bhakti vilochanena santa sadeva radayeshu vilokayanti yam shyam sundaram achintya gunaswarupam govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajani. I worship the original personality of Godhead Govinda, whom the pure devotees, their eyes smeared with anointment of love of Godhead, always observe within their heart. This Govinda is original personality of Godhead, is Shyam Sundar with all transcendental qualities. Therefore, although he is present in every atom, the Supreme Personality of Godhead may not be visible to the dry speculators. Still, mystery is unfolded before the eyes of the pure devotees because their eyes are anointed with love of Godhead. And this love of Godhead can be attained only by the practice of transcendental loving service of the Lord and nothing else. The vision of the devotees is not ordinary. It is purified by the process of devotional service. In other words, as the universal elements are both within and without, similarly, the Lord's name, form, qualities, pastimes, entourage, etc., as they are described in the revealed scriptures or as performed in the Vaikuntha Lokas, far, far beyond the material cosmic manifestation, are actually being televised in the hearts of the devotee. The man with poor fund of knowledge cannot understand, although by material science one can see things far away by means of television. Factually, the spiritually developed person is able to have the television of the kingdom of God always reflected within his heart. That is the mystery of the knowledge of the personality of Godhead. The Lord can award anyone and everyone liberation, mukti, from the bondage of material existence. Yet he rarely awards the privilege of love of Godhead, as confirmed by Narada. Muktim dadati karhichits sma na bhakti yogam. This transcendental devotional service of the Lord is so wonderful that the occupation keeps the deserving devotee always wrapped in psychological activities without deviation from the absolute touch. Thus, the love of Godhead developed in the heart of the devotee is a great mystery. Brahmaji previously told Narad that the desires of Brahmaji are never fulfilled because he is always absorbed in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, nor has he any desire in his heart save and except the transcendental service of the Lord. That is the beauty and mystery of the process of Bhakti Yoga, as the Lord's desire is infallible because he is Achyuta. Similarly, the desire of the devotees in the transcendental service of the Lord are also Achyuta or infallible. This is very difficult, however, for the layman to understand without knowledge of the mystery of devotional service. As it is very difficult to know the potency of touchstone, as touchstone is rarely found, a pure devotee of the Lord is also rarely to be seen. Even amongst millions of liberated souls, Kodishwapi Mahamune, out of all kinds of perfections attained by the process of knowledge, yoga perfection in devotional service is the highest of all and the most mysterious also, even more mysterious than the 8 kinds of mystic perfection attained by the process of yogic performances. In the Bhagavad Gita, 18th chapter, 64th verse, the Lord therefore advised Arjuna about this Bhakti Yoga. Sarva vihatamam bhuyaha shunu me paramam vachaha. Just hear from me again about the most confidential part of the instruction of Bhagavad Gita. The same was confirmed by Brahmaji to Narad in the following words. Idam Bhagavatam nama yanme Bhagavato ditam sangrahoyam vibhutinam tvam etat vipulikuru. Brahmaji said to Narad, whatever I have spoken to you about Bhagavatam was explained to me by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and I am advising you to expand these topics nicely so that people may easily understand the mysterious Bhakti Yoga by transcendental loving service of the Lord. It is to be noted here that the mystery of Bhakti Yoga was disclosed to Brahmaji by the Lord himself. Brahmaji explained the very same mystery to Narad. Narad explained to Vyasa, Vyasa explained to Sukadeva Goswami, and that same knowledge is coming down in the unalloyed chain of disciplic succession. If one is fortunate enough to have received the knowledge in the transcendental disciplic succession, surely he will have the chance to understand the mystery of the Lord and that of the Srimad Bhagavatam and the sound incarnation of the Lord. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashlakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadaram Nadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapalakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavansha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatham Sajivam Satvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padaman Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanitanscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripasindubhya Evasya Patikanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Krishaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Isn't it mind-boggling? But thorough understanding is there. So many references Srila Prabhupada gave. So we should take some time. O Brahma, please know that the universal elements enter into the cosmos and at the same time do not enter into the cosmos. Similarly, I myself also exist within everything created and at the same time I am outside of everything. We start from Puranjan. It is said in Srimad Bhagavatam, the soul who is fond of living in the city of 9 gates is actually Puranjana. Pura means city. And every one of us, are living in the city of 9 gates. That's not difficult to understand. So, it is said that during the conception, the living entity riding on the sperm of the father enter into the egg of the mother. And it is said that the living entity enters into that city, a unicellular city, and he is completely captivated by the contour. He sees beautiful gardens and so many things, and he loves this place. It's a microcosm at the cellular level. Yet the bewilderment is there, and because he loves it, he wants to be active and creation. Somehow or another, he sees a beautiful woman and inquires about, and she says that, yes, I'm overseeing the functionality, in my city. That is the intelligence. So consciousness is embedded, and the Puranjan is attracted by this so-called buddhi, which is the product of consciousness, and gets married. He falls into love. And then all the story goes. But the idea is that this is an attraction of material nature. A living entity has to take compulsory birth in a body, and this body is constituted by the elements of Mahatattva. Gross elements created. 24 elements have been created. The soul is not one of that, but he is counted because he is thinking now that he is a product, he is one of them. Otherwise, 23 elements are there. Which are they? Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence and ego. These are separated energies, but prior to that, Krishna also created 5 senses, 5 objects of senses and 5 knowledge acquiring senses. So 15. 15 plus 8, 23, and the soul is thinking now is also part of it. This is where the bewilderment starts at microcosm. Can you imagine when person dies, how much bewilderment will have to face it? When he has already expanded beyond himself, confined into one singular cell. He enters, but then he expands inside, he loses himself. Can we find where are we? Are we confined to one cell? No. It is amazing. The potential aspect of the creativity in human being. There are so many millions of sperms or living entities. And the father's singer. And only one is able to fertilize the egg. So, scientists are bewildered. They think, oh, this is the technique. They may say, oh, everybody, even without even the entry of the sperm, there is reproduction possible. It's called mitosis and meiosis in medical science, And then they are also finding, oh, you do not need a father to beget a child. They did experiment by stimulating the egg of a rat, a female rat, and produced. Clones are thus coming out from it. But they don't have a reproduction system. A clone cannot reproduce. But the point is that the living entity is entering, it's a different entity, yet he is entering, and then he becomes completely diffused. When the body grows, so many cells are growing from one, right? And he gets lost within this body. We get lost within this body. And we think we are body, because that's what we see as a reflection. The eyes are made up of just to catch the reflection. And if the sun is not there, I won't be able to see you. But we forget that eyes are nothing like cameras, but the soul is the real one to observe the image in the eyes. Krishna made this body, that is through Brahma. Brahma made this body so complicated. These cameras have upside down image, just like what you have. But then it will be again crossed and made correct. And then we are able to see. But seeing the whole material world, we are taught in 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Urdhva Mula Mada Shakam Asvattha Praravyayam Chandansi Yasya Pranani Yasya Vedasa Vedavi. This whole material world, cosmic material world, is like upside down the banyan tree, where the branches and twigs are downwards and the roots are upwards. Prabhupada said it is extremely difficult to see such a tree, but if a banyan tree is growing near a lake and you see the clear reflection from it, it is exactly what 15th chapter is describing. So, we are accustomed to see all this only upside down situation, but somehow or another the mechanism is making it as a correct image. But Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, no. It's an upside down. The whole world is upside down. Better you become upside down again to see it correctly. Means, do not become part of this material creation. You do not belong there. You are Chitkar. You are my part and parcel. And your composition and Krishna's composition is the same. They are all Satchidananda. But because of little independence misused, with an element of envy, you get it. So devotees are supposed to remove those elements just to become devotee. To understand Krishna, Krishna says that Arjun, idam tude guhyatamam pravakshyami anasuyave. You are not you are not envious of me. That's why. That bhaktosi sakhachiti rahasyam hetaduttamam. I am revealing the most confidential knowledge about my absolute truth to you because you are my friend and a devotee. So, that being said, the whole material creation is created by Krishna through the agency of Mahavishnu. And he created first the three elements, three gunas. Right? And by the combination and permutation of the three gunas, so many multitude of varieties are coming. And these are the governing principles or the binding principle for the material energy to be bound up, to make a form. A cellular structure has a particular form, this, that. But as far as human being is concerned, it is said that because the original form of the Lord is two-handed, he has been endowed this form in the image of the Lord. Image is always other way around. Just like in the secondary level of understanding, this is me, but if I go in front of the mirror, it will be an image. An image is completely reverse. The right side becomes left side and left side becomes right. So the idea is that an image is a reflection. It's not the original. And if we say, those who go to barber, they have a back mirror also. How do you see yourself in a correct way? Then you can't see your back side. So they put another mirror in front of the mirror. That's why barbers are very clever. But nonetheless, reflection of reflection is also reflection. So you have to come out from the vision of reflection and develop the original form, not image form. So all the material elements, they enter into cosmos, at the same time they do not enter into cosmos. Why? Because this cosmos is manifesting within Lord Krishna. So what is the difference for Lord Krishna? The absolute truth. If things are happening within, so everything belongs to Krishna. When a child is born, conceived, the mother thinks, it's my child, immediately. Nobody else's. And that attachment is there. Can you imagine the attachment of the Supreme Lord for His creation? It is within Him. It manifests, it grows, and then it dwindles and disappears. But we are the product. The product has to think like Krishna thinks. A product is identifying with the only the material elements which are not him. Then how can we understand the producer? So, in relationship with the Supreme Lord, we have to see the elements. Because they are produced within the Lord, they are Lord's, and they cannot be separated from the Lord. But yet, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as the Supreme Individual, is separate from the product, or whatever has been produced within him. This is also explained in the nature of the Absolute Truth, which is revealed through the agency of spiritual master, and that can be revealed only when we submissively surrender to him and ask pertinent question with seva. So, padikshanti tam jnanam jnanina tattvadarshina. And Krishna immediately reveals that etanya bhutanya sheshani drakshas atmanyatho mai. And that knowledge is yadgyatva punarmoham evam vyasyasi pandava. Krishna immediately reveals that if you know that all living entities are my part and parcel, without any exception, they are within me and they are mine. Three things: being part and parcel, that dead element is also part and parcel. You can't separate anything from Lord Krishna. And therefore, you will cultivate not only the vision for the beautiful things around the world, but even though everything, including the disasters which are happening, and they are not beautiful to look at it. But if we see in relationship with Krishna, then we see that yes, creation, sustenance and dissolutions are the elements of this material world. But the spirit soul is a game changer. He understands his part and parcel, and he cannot be separated from him, just like the material elements are separated from him. But yet, everything, both material and non-material things, are within him. You can't separate anyone. So devotional service, loving devotional service is the only means to, comprehend this fact that because of that pure attachment to Lord Krishna in love and devotion, he realizes. Completeness of the Absolute has to be understood. That Om Purnamadaha and Purnamidam, whatever has been produced, but because they are inside, that Purnam still remains Purnam. How can you separate? And you are also produced within the product of that Purnam. And if you dissociate, that creates our Apurnam or imperfections. Because Krishna is perfect, if we connect with him, it will be perfect. If we dissociate, so naturally here it is understood that all the universal elements, the 23 elements, as well as the 24th, the soul, is entering into the cosmic manifestation. Everyone has the same structure. because they are constituted through the agency of the three modes of material nature. Every element can exert a mode. There are some of the elements bicomposite or grows in the terms of when the fruit product is coming, which is filled with tamogum. We do not partake in it. Like onion, garlic, meat, fish. These are all products of tamogum. It will take you away from the reality. The passion and ignorance. But we are advised to imbibe more and more sattva, selectively choose by understanding. It's not a blind belief. Oh, Hare Krishna, Hare, you are not eating lasan piyaj. You do not eat onion, garlic. Huh? Why? They are creation of God. Yes. So what? Do you embrace tamogun? The people do not understand. They are bewildered. But when we understand through the teachings, then I say, yes, these three modes are all prevailing and I was captivated, but now let me follow Brahmaji. Brahmaji himself has been incarnation of mode of passion. Right? So can you imagine the extent of his passionate nature? Whatever the wild situation in the young, all over the world is there, it is nothing. In 1 millennium, they say Brahma was captivated by his daughter that he created, Vak. And he ran mad after to enjoy her. And Sanat, Chatushkumar and other munis chastise him like anything. So, if Brahma can become captivated by the mode of passion, what to speak of ordinary, and in Kali Yuga, there is hardly mode of goodness prevailing. Only mode of passion, and more ignorance will be there. Yeah. So the idea is that Brahma is telling that Maya hi yasya jagadanda satani sute traigunya tad vishaya veda vitaya mana sattva avalambi parasattvam vishuddha sattvam govindamadi purusham tamamya. There is a systematic methodology how to overcome the mode of passion and ignorance by chanting Hare Krishna and then imbibe our life within the mode of goodness and never succumb to the mode of passion and ignorance. Protect ourselves, and then we'll be able to think on the transcendental nature of the soul and connection with the super soul, and then we will be able to understand the Vishuddha Sattvam state of Lord Krishna, the pure goodness. Goodness is only existing on the material world, but the soul level, it is parasattva. Parasattva means it is still more refined mode of goodness, and Krishna exists on Vishuddha Sattva, that is perfect pureness. So, otherwise Krishna is hiding himself. Naham prakasa sarvasya logumaya samabhuta. He is not exposed to anybody and everybody. So, to become a devotee is very rare, but we have to convinced, even intellectually. And these purports are very important. Anybody has any question? I'll stop here and then we'll go further. Yeah.
Krishna Maharaj, thank you very much for the lecture. Just have a couple of questions. One is, we discussed that we should use everything for the service of Krishna, but in the modern age, to what extent should we apply that principle? Because modern technology, for example cars and other technologies, are polluting the environment, polluting the earth. you know, you have tires and other byproducts of cars and factories that produce them. So to what extent should we apply the principle of using everything in the service of Krishna?
Have you seen, first of all, the connection between the fossil oil, fossil and the slaughter of animals? Fossils are coming through natural disasters, all right? Fossilized and the fossil fuel, it is the natural calamities, all right? And the slaughter of the animal. Both industries are based on the product of dead animals, including human beings. Otherwise, why there is fossil oil? Why do you call it fossil oil? So, in bodily conception of life, the body is being recycled in different elements. When the body fat and other things are going to be crushed, eventually it will rot and will make a crude oil out of it. It may be a slow process, but the living entity is not constituting the fuel aspect because he is attached. So we need a demarcation of separation, between the soul and the body and bodily products or transformations of the body. All right? When abuse by the living entity is there, then naturally there will be pollution. And it's a direct or indirectly it is connecting with the transformations of the material elements, and they are being recycled. But the abuse, the awareness now has been coming up about the environment protection. That because we have abused, we have been in a very precarious situation on the edge of disasters. Right? Mother Nature is also one of the supreme living entities product. And what comes, it stays for some time, then it goes. The whole material cosmic manifestation has been created and to be withdrawn. Bhutva bhutva praliyate. Right? So, what should be our contribution to improve the atmosphere? By some guiding principles. Dhrita Karma and Mukund Maharaj wrote that book, The Nature. I gave one time seminar in Thailand on it. It was very descriptive, But nonetheless, when we see the connection with Krishna, then a devotee will be a naturally nature friendly. So we need to preach how to become devotee and how to understand the creation, sustenance and dissolution. And what are all these elements that we are finding, for our exploitation. Better stop exploitation. Otherwise, how come the fossil oils and fossil fuel and other things are?
What I mean, Maharaj, is like this technology that we use, because it has these byproducts, should the devotees, we obviously, microphones and phones, and they have utility and they have
If
benefits.
you can use that in Krishna's service, use it.
So So everything, even cars and everything.
Yes, Prabhupada said, if you have an umbrella, use it. Whether for shade or rain, use it. Let the foolish people keep on manufacturing and we will use everything in Krishna's service. That's our Krishna consciousness and preservation of the nature. It's not that we are aiding to pollute more. No. We are not the cause, but we utilize the energy of the Lord in service of the owner of the energy, master of the energy. That is devotional service. They are producing for destruction, but we are using the same thing for nurturing our Krishna consciousness, to please Krishna, not abuse or destroy. We are not part of destruction. How much are you going to refrain? Tell me. When everything is polluted. Even the foods are polluted. How are the fertilizers coming? The fertilizers are coming as byproduct of the petroleum. It's one of the petroleum products. And it means they are compulsorily, even in abuse of this material nature and its byproduct, they are getting recycled. Plastic is not recyclable. They say plastic is not. But they will find out means to dissolve the plastic also. And they will make money. And more and more abuse will be going on. Plastic bombs are there. It will be more disastrous because it's a polymer. So, the idea is that it is by the impelling mode of ignorance that Kali Yuga will be leading to destruction. What are the symptoms? Varieties are not the symptoms. The original cause of all the varieties of symptoms are the mode of ignorance, which will be more prevailing. And it will expedite it by mode of passion. So, more destruction is going to come, then the mode of passion will be so much inflamed in order to duck the destruction. Prabhupada gives example. The storm is coming and the ostrich is thinking, let me duck my head into the sand and I'll be saved. The storm will pass over. The camel also does like that. No, it will go. And how come in such a rugged situation of this, the fusel foil is there? The fossil oil and other we use as, the fusel oil, what they call it? The fossils died in, and they have the largest resources of this crude oil. Ends. It means the nature is recyclable by Krishna's potencies, and it has been so designed perfectly. But in human form of life, if we understand that we prefer to become devotee, and it will relieve the whole problem of life. You may earn little money because you are in the environmental business, fine. But you can develop how this whole thing is connected with Krishna, and you'll be safe. Use the phone to communicate about Krishna consciousness. Nothing forever. And we should not be ashamed, because we are not wasting our life in manufacturing and getting away from Krishna. We respect it in whichever form it comes. But somehow or other chanting should, even in the meat eater's place, if you distribute the holy name or put Gornitai even, if they incline to chant his name, do it. We have to see everything in connection with Krishna. Yet Krishna's personality is distinctly separate from his expansions. Therefore, he is Adi Purusha, and we should worship him. He is the only worshipable entity. Any other question or comments?
Maharaj, just expanding on Babaji's question. So when we're using everything in Krishna's service, you can buy like a $400 phone or you can buy a $1,000 phone. Both we're using in Krishna's service.
Yes.
How to understand what is the right way? Should we only be buying?
How he is going to use the features of the phone. Right? Prabhupada was able to communicate without the phone. He was writing letters. How many letters he wrote? 6,000. It's communication. But he did not forget communication with Krishna. If we have an easy method to communicate, but yet we are using for some frivolous services, sense gratification, that's not good. The whole world is moving on the exploitation through the mode of passion, but end up in mode of ignorance. Alright, so we will continue the other aspects of Prabhupada's explanations, because elaborate quotations are there. So we'll do the same verse and talk on the confidentiality of pure devotional service. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Vedavyasapriya Swami Maharaj.